Hey, everybody. It's Efren here, half of your real pastors. Gary cannot be with me today. He's got stuff going on this weekend, but it didn't really matter because what I'm here today is to talk about a review of a movie I was able to go out and see last night, and something that I was very excited to do. And so first of all, I'm just so glad all you guys are here. If you like our videos, if you haven't yet, make sure you like, subscribe, and share so more people can see this content from the real pastors. And hopefully that would just help us out, continue to build the channel and build our community here. So we hope you can do that for us. And now, as I continue, like I said, we're doing a review, and we're doing a review of the movie Michael. Now, this is something that I was excited about when I first heard of this movie coming out, this biopic. And me, I'm not a huge biopic person per se. I definitely have to be interested in the person, which I guess is really how it goes. But that's how I am for this one, for Michael. And I'm excited to talk about this one. And like I said, this one just came out this weekend. I was going to go Thursday night. I know in our last video I said I was going, but unfortunately, their sickness has hit our house. I got two of my kids ended up getting sick. So my wife was awesome enough to let me escape so I could go see this. And so I went and saw it. And it's just something that I just say I had honestly a great time with. This is something that me growing up, just a quick little background is I grew up actually after I watched this movie, I realized what I remember and when I grew up was actually what takes place at the end of this movie when Michael becomes Michael. And so that was something that was pretty cool to kind of see the history that built up to what I remember as my childhood. And this was something that was just a whole lot of fun. And as we were there, I did take my oldest with me, and she absolutely loved this movie because I got her into Michael Jackson's music as well. And it was really, really cool. So just to jump right into it, what are some of the good? Well, the good here that I really liked was I honestly thought that Michael Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, is the one who actually plays him, did a really good job. Did a really good job playing him. And this was something that it was one of those things because, like, I think with a lot of biopics, there's those moments where you realize, like, oh yeah, that's not actually him. But then there's moments where you're just like, wow, he actually looks like the person. Wow, he actually is acting like the person, the movements, everything about it, right? Like this was really cool. And this was one that I'm not 100% sure about this, but if they did do it this way, it was really cool and shows even more how much like Michael Jafar is. And but it looked like to me that they didn't actually use real footage of Michael Jackson, of him dancing and in the concerts and stuff. It looked like they actually acted all of this out, which made it a lot more impressive for me to see all this happen. Because there's been biopics in the past, like the Elvis one used actual shots of Elvis, and I think some other ones did the same thing. And which, again, nothing wrong with that. I think that's cool to keep the illusion going and all that. But this one, it seemed like they just went all in, and I think it's because of his performance, the fact that he actually looked like Michael Jackson. He learned the moves. He learned how to sing. I mean, because that was one thing that I thought was cool is it sounds like I think he actually sung these songs because there were moments where it's like, okay, that's not actually Michael Jackson's voice, but he still sounded a lot like him. And so I thought that was really good. I thought Jafar Jackson did great playing his uncle. I also thought, just staying on the line of actors, I also thought that I forget his name. Oh, Coleman Domingo. I thought he did a great job playing Joseph, playing the father of the Jacksons, and he is one that was honestly he was a little menacing, really menacing. But at the same time, you can kind of understand what he was doing. For instance, like he made it a point clear where he said, "Hey, like, do you guys want to end up working in the steel mill like me?" And they're all like, "No." That's all right. No, like you guys are going to be better. So he was pushing them to try to get better. But then eventually, you see how he was handling the boys, the Jackson Five and Michael, and how he was really saying this was for the family and for them. But you end up seeing his true colors throughout the movie. But the reason why I say he was menacing is because they really showed what Michael Jackson was going through, right? Like what those boys had to go through, what kind of a essentially tyrant their dad was, and how much he pushed them, and how much, even though they did great, he was like, yeah, y'all did fine, but nothing was ever good enough. And he was push, 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 and it didn't matter. No one had an opinion in the house. Not mother, like they would call him, or none of the brothers, no one had a say so. No one was allowed to have an opinion. So they really showed how on the one end, yes, he pushed them to greatness, but at the same time, he pushed them too far. And so that was something that was there. So you also had this very menacing uh like demeanor about him that I thought was really, really great. And what really helped with that too was honestly the cinematography, especially with scenes with him in it. It was cool because they always put him in a position where like you could see that he was towering over you. So like when Michael Jackson was younger, right, when he was part of the Jackson 5, like the camera would be at the angle of little 10-year-old Michael Jackson. So there was points where you would see him and you would see his waist, especially when he was unbuckling his belt and stuff, but you would see his waist, but then it would tilt up so you can look up and see him. And then as Michael got older, it got a little higher, right? But it still was just like in this manner that even though Michael may be around the same height or getting close to his height, it still made him feel every time he was talking to Michael, like, hey, he's towering over him, he's hovering, he's the menace, he's the one in control. And then towards the end, which was this was also good, once Michael Jackson breaks free from all that and becomes Michael Jackson, does his own solo thing, that's when the camera actually, when he starts talking to him and puts him in his place, that's when the camera actually meets him eye to eye. So there was just stuff like that that was cool that really helped you feel like you're feeling what Michael went through and grow up with it, but then also feeling the menacing presence that Joseph was. So that was something that was really, really cool and stuff that I really liked about that. I also liked as well the quick story. They didn't spend too much time on it, but Kevin Darrell Jones played Bill, the long time, pretty much lifetime, I guess, for Michael, his bodyguard. And, we see here in the picture, an actual picture of Michael and Bill, and then, Jones, who plays him. And you see a lot of similarities there. He looked like him in the movie. That was cool, which is something that I just thought was cool all the way around. It's like a lot of these actors have actually looked like the people they were portraying, which was cool. But they just showed how he came on, and yes, it was his job, and yes, he was watching Michael as a kid and all that, but it's even seeing him grow with Michael and being there for Michael, and then essentially being the caring and loving dad that Michael Jackson needed, especially going up against Joseph, as he always called him, like his actual dad, and how Michael did tend to gravitate towards him, and he was there and he had his back, and so not only did he protect him, but you saw this relationship build where Bill generally loved Michael and generally wanted to see him succeed and do well, and he generally wanted to protect him just like a father, and support him the best he could. And you get to see a lot of this happen throughout the movie and even towards the ending of it. So I thought that was really cool. I thought he did a great job playing Bill, and you can even see the tension where he didn't like what was necessarily happening with Joseph and didn't like how Michael was being treated. So he was trying to uh, tread that line a little bit where he's just like, okay, I know my place. I'm the bodyguard. I can't do too much, but I also want to be there for this kid. And so it was just cool to see him struggle with that, but at the same time, do his job and build that relationship with him. So I thought that was absolutely fantastic. I thought that was really good. Um, and then, of course, I have to say the music, fantastic. What I loved about the music was that it wasn't just they let you play the music. I mean, like at the end, like there's two songs of there's like, okay, you pretty much just hear the song, which is great. You get to see him perform it and stuff like that. But I like that they actually showed you what like his thought process and what he wanted to go through. Because that's the thing with Michael. Like he always was trying to push the envelope with his music. He did have a message for it. Like you saw the story behind Beat It and how that came about. You saw how his album Thriller became Thriller and how that came about. Like you get to see those different things, like even Bad, like the song Bad, like why he made that song and why that's the one that ended up being like one of the big popular ones. Like there's these different things that you get to see the full story behind the music, behind these famous songs that made Michael Jackson, right? And so I thought that was really, really cool and something that I enjoyed a lot. And of course, as a Michael Jackson fan, I loved hearing the music and hearing those things. A couple other things that I thought were good was really them showing what Jackson had to go through, really what all those Jackson kids had to go through, but even Michael to try to come out from underneath his father, coming out from underneath his tyrant raid, right? That where he really wanted to become himself. He really wanted to express himself and be creative and present messages that he wanted to present. And he wanted to reach the whole world. right? So even seeing that and even seeing his struggles with, well, not really struggles, but you see a little bit of like him trying to get on MTV because at that time MTV would not put any black artists on there to show their videos. So he had to deal with that, and I think the movie kind of glossed over that, but that was something that was really really cool, and so you get to see him struggle with that, struggle with making friends, struggle with dealing with his fear of his father, and wanting to do more, but doesn't know if he can because his dad's gonna get mad or he could he get beat, right? Like struggling with that, and then but also just struggling with I want to create, and then trying to then have to create and do things underneath that. And so all the things that really formed him, I mean, they even explain, which I was like, well, that explains a lot why he wanted his nose job, right? Like they explained about that. And just really explained like his psyche. Like when people wonder, well, why Neverland? Why all these weird animals? Why did he have a pet chimp? It explains that, and you realize, oh, well, I can see why with all the trauma and things that he went through, I can see why he was who he was. So I thought all that was actually really, really good. Those are the things that I enjoyed quite a bit. So I like that a lot. And then, so moving on, I know I was going on here for a little bit with the things that are good. And I have one more, but I'll save it for the end because I want to get on to the bad. And I think the bad here isn't necessarily, it really isn't bad because I feel like they were trying to tell a certain story, and I felt they tell the story well, but really the bad was there are certain things that they glossed over, right? Like we got all the good things that I said, but they kind of glossed over like the MTV thing. I felt like that could have been experienced a little bit more, like they could have shown more, unless that's all it was. But you know how movies are, so I kind of doubt that's all it was. So I wonder like how much more went on there. So I would be kind of curious about that. Um, and so they also glossed over, which I forget what it's called, but the disease that was ruining his pigmentation, was essentially like turning him white, for lack of a better term. But like that disease and what that meant for, I mean, they again, that was something they glossed over. Like they mentioned that that's a thing and they glossed over it real quick. Which I'm like, surely there was more to that, unless he was just that private. Maybe I'm not sure, but I feel like they kind of glossed over that, and I feel like that was something that they should have probably dug into a little bit more to kind of see, because you've already built up, all these things that he's struggling with mentally because of his father and because of what he had to go through growing up there, and then all the other struggles already mentioned. So I felt like those two things would have been cool to kind of elaborate a little bit more on. But other than that, I thought I really didn't find a whole lot of bad. Again, it's out last night, been thinking about it all day today. There's not a whole lot of bad in this movie, so I really did like it. Um, so on the pastor side of things, there was one moment, and I guess this is not necessarily a bad because I know what they were doing, but they had this moment where his mother tells them, obviously they were at least religious, right? They believed in God, they mentioned God, and she was talking about how how you're special and God loves you, He's gifted you for great things, so make sure you let your light shine. And so again, as a pastor, it's like that's a great message. I like that. Let your light shine. You have a platform now. And then Michael mentions it later, after a big ordeal of things that happened, and he's trying to really break out and be his own man. And he mentions it again. He says, "I need to let my light shine. I need to be able to do more to build bridges across all races and nations." And he wants to do all these great things, which is awesome. But it was like the sense like I need to let my light shine. And so, and again, that I get that's probably exactly how it happened, but it was just kind of like, oh man, like just as a pastor, I'm like, man, what if he used that for the glory of God? It'd just be really cool. But at the very least, like the understanding of I have this platform, so I need to use this platform for good. At the very least, that just a fantastic message. And even if my daughter got that message of like, hey, whatever platform I have, I need to use it for good. I'm happy my daughter's getting that message from a movie like this. So I thought that was cool. I thought that was really good. And then going on to the dad part, it's because these two things kind of tying together. Like I said, like this is something you can take your family to if your family likes Michael Jackson. Easy to take your family to tell them and to let them watch it and kind of talk through the movie a little bit, like, oh, this is when this happened, this is when this happened. Not a whole lot of cursing or anything crazy like that. Nothing even remotely close to inappropriate in this movie, unless you just don't like the typical Michael Jackson dancing, grabbing his crotch dance, right? Like unless you just don't like that, there's really nothing else as in this movie that's really really ridiculous. Um, so it was pretty good. Like I said, has got the solid message. You get to see the struggles of someone. So I thought all those things are kind of good, or pretty good. And so it's something that I mean, it is PG-13, so take with it what you will. Like I said, there are some cuss words and things, so that's kind of on you and what you have with your kids. And like I said, I wanted to circle back to something that was really, really good, and probably my one of my favorite parts was at the end, and at the very end, uh, this is something like, and I'm trying to bring this up for you guys now. So this is a shot uh, from one of the scenes, and when he is doing this scene, I turned to my daughter and I said, "Man, he looks exactly like Michael Jackson." And it was really, really good. And at first I was like, is that him? Or is this like but then I saw the camera angles and what they were doing, and I was just like, oh no, that's him. Like that's actually Jafar Jackson. And it was actually really cool. He looks exactly like him. There are certain notes he hit during this whole scene that I was like, okay, those aren't Michael Jackson notes, that's him. So that's where I realized it was actually him. And it this whole thing was spot on. It was a perfect scene. The way they used it, like it was pretty awesome. So I really really liked this one. Thought it was really good, and I just wanted to point that out. I do want to go a little bit on a tangent here, um, because I know there's a lot of critics. You guys can look it up. You can see it on Rotten Tomatoes. You can go on IMDb. You can go on Metacritic, right? And the critics don't like this movie. And again, I'm just going to go on a little. I don't really like to do this too much. I did other than briefly, but this is one of those times I'm just like, I don't get it. Like, what are you so upset about? And then because after the movie, I went back and I started seeing what critics actually had to say, and pretty much what they all come down to is there is no substance. There isn't enough depth. There isn't enough in any of this. And then I was like, okay, I felt like there was a lot of substance because of everything I just talked about. Like everything that it showed of Michael going through with his dad and those struggles and him trying to break out from underneath that, and the struggles that the self-esteem issues that he had, thus the animals and thus his nose and about his skin. And like, yes, there's all these things that they already showed. And then if you haven't heard already, like it seems like there is a plan for a second movie to continue his story, because this only goes from like when Jackson 5 up until his Thriller album, right? Like this is only pretty much half of his career, right? Like there's a lot more Michael Jackson story to be told. And that was kind of their complaint, was like, and one, I feel like one reviewer was finally honest about it. I think there's two actually. But either way, but they came out and said they wouldn't touch Michael's dirtiest parts, essentially about like the allegations against him, about him with the kids at Neverland, which I'm pretty sure I might have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure all those were found to be nonsense. And then some other allegations that came out, which all found out to be, if I remember correctly, ended up just being a bunch of nonsense. So again, I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna have to go back and look that up. But it was like, for the critics, because they didn't get that story, they said that this was a movie without substance, and this was a movie that just one of the worst biopics. And I just can't help but think like, really? So like you have a movie that is trying to tell the story of how he became Michael Jackson, how he went from the Jackson 5 to Michael Jackson, and then the struggles that he had to become him. Like this movie wasn't trying to tell his entire story. I know other biopics have done, like Elvis. I saw Elvis. Elvis went out to tell you his entire story, from where he came from, his humble beginnings, all the way up until he died. Like, and that movie was almost 3 hours, and they wanted to tell you the whole story. That's fine. That was that movie. I heard Bohemian Rhapsody. I actually never watched it, but I heard it was similar, right? That was that movie. This movie, that wasn't that intent. And it just seems like sometimes these critics, they're worried less about what the story the movie wants to tell, and they just want the negative stuff, like, oh, we have all this negative things, I want to hear about that, tell me about those allegations, tell me about those things. Like that's what I want to see. And it's just like, the movie didn't want to tell that story. Maybe the second one will, maybe the follow-up will, but this one, that wasn't the point. The point of this one was to show you how he went, to show his humble beginnings with the Jackson 5, the stuff that he struggled with his father, his self-esteem issues, and trying to break free of all that to become the Michael Jackson that we all know today, that we call the King of Pop. That's the whole point of this movie. And if And if that's not what you want, if you don't want that with great music, if you want something more, if all you want to hear is the dirty laundry, then yeah, you're not going to like this movie. You're not. But if you're a Michael Jackson fan, if you just want to see how he became Michael Jackson and how that him being the king of pop and being this icon, if that's what you want to see, like how did he get there? Then that's what this movie is, and that's what and this movie is for you. And for me, going into this, that's what I like the most. I mean, honestly, when it comes to biopics, especially ones about musicians and things, that's honestly that's what I want to see. I want to see how did they get there? How did they become who they became? Like I don't like sometimes. I mean, there were some like Elvis because I knew some about Elvis. Not like I really did want to see. Okay, well, how did all this happen? Because I knew like how did this guy like this king right the king how did he end up in Vegas, right? And then being stuck in Vegas. Like, is that where all the show? Like, I didn't know. So, like, I kind of wanted to see all those kind of things. So it worked out, and I thought that movie was good too, right? Like, so I enjoyed that. But with this one, it was like there was a lot of mystery, and you even talk about that in the movie. Like, he likes his mystery, but there was a mystery to it, and it's like, how did he become? And that's what you see. You get to see him become the icon that we know today. That's what this movie was, and I thought it did a great job doing it. And if you want anything more than that, yeah, I guess you won't like it, but I just thought it was great. I enjoyed it a lot. Um, so this is one that I again, I as you can tell, I did enjoy. I thought it was great. So now is the time to review it. Now is the time to let you know my thoughts. And honestly, for this one, as I think about it, and I thought about it last night, and I'm just trying to figure out where am I going to put this thing as far as movies, and we have a scale of 1 to 5 Hail Marys. 1 is absolute garbage. Do not watch this thing. 5 is an absolute masterpiece. And then if you want to know, 3 is like, this was a good movie. I'm still gonna buy it, but it was good, so then go on from there. And this is one that honestly, just with everything that I said today, I really did enjoy this movie. I thought it was really, really good. I liked the way they showed everything about Michaels and his thought process with his music and the things he was trying to do and just all that. And then him coming out from under his father and him and having Bill there, the security guard, his relationship with that. Like I just thought this movie did a lot. I thought it did it well. Cinematography was great with the dancing and everything. Um, so I thought this movie was really, really good. However, knowing that it is a part 1, I feel like it's kind of hard to judge, but this is one I will just say this is a 3 out of 5 Hail Marys. I struggled with putting it at a 4. I did enjoy it a lot, but again, really what put it over was for me to keep it at 3 was this is a good movie. I'm still going to buy it. Still had a lot of fun with it. Little nitpick things here and there, but it's kind of hard because it is, even though I just, nitpicked with the critics, like about like not liking it at all because it didn't tell a specific story. It does very much feel like it is half the story. And it even, spoiler alert, it does tell you this is half the story. The movie tells you that. So I feel like this movie will be better judged after the second one comes out. And then I feel like you have to judge both movies together. And then depending on how they handle the second part, this might get up to a 4, maybe a 5, depending on how, because I feel like you can't judge this on its own. Like it told the story it wanted to tell, but it did feel like that was half the story. Like even my daughter was like, "That's it, we're done. Isn't there more?" It's like, "Yeah, there is." And so that's where I think probably the other thing what I said that it is the bad, and I'll bring that back, which justifies this rating, is that it did kind of feel like we just stopped halfway through. And so again, maybe nitpicky or not, but that's the reason why it keeps it at a 3. Still good. I'm still going to buy this movie when it comes out, on Blu-ray. Still going to have a lot of fun. It is very rewatchable. Had a great time with it, but because of that, really, that's what kept it. Because remember, we don't do 0.5s here. Because if we did, it'd probably be a 3.5. But that's what kept it from being a 4. Is it did felt very okay. We're about to really kick off Michael Jackson's career and everything else, but then it ends. But you do realize the story they're going to tell. So those are my thoughts. That's what I think of Michael. Let me know your thoughts. I'd like to hear down in the comments if you've seen it yet. If you haven't seen it yet, let me know if you're looking forward to it. If not, go see it. Come back. leave a comment, and I'll love to hear from you what you thought of the movie Michael. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.